The number one question I get asked is, what do I make on my CNC to sell? And after hearing how much these videos have been helping people get new ideas and inspiration, here's another one. It takes work, of course, but by adding your own twist to the projects I'm about to share with you, I believe that these can be some of your best sellers during the upcoming holiday rush. All right, project number one is this mini trebuchet, and it actually works. So I saw this project at the Kentucky State Fair, and I thought it was really, really cool. And instantly, when I see these types of things, I'm like, how could I make that? So to make this, I would use any solid wood, but not plywood. With the small parts of this, the base was about 4 inches by 4 inches. So to give you an idea on scale, these parts are really small. You could scale it up infinitely, obviously. But to make this specific one, which I kind of like the miniature aspect of this trebuchet. So any solid wood would work: pine, poplar, oak, something along those lines. So it may seem complicated to make, but honestly, if you look at this and break it down into individual shapes, you have about 7 shapes that you need to create. The 2 trapezoids on the side, which just has pinholes for the wheels, and then a pinhole to hold the, let's just call it the arrow mechanism. 4 wheels, and then they're just really straight pieces that connect those 2 trapezoids together. And then we're not going to create the dowels. Those are easily bought locally or online on Amazon. I bought 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch dowels for pretty cheap. So the most challenging shape to make on this is going to be that arrow launching mechanism. But if you look at the shape, it's really just a T, which we can make a T in CAD pretty easily, with some, on the outer edge with a little bit of a round. It looks like a crossbow, right? So we're making a crossbow shape. So you can easily assemble this with CA glue and then stain it. That's the process to make this. So there's going to be a prototyping process anytime that you're creating something for the first time. But the cool thing about CAD software is once you create that product, or once you create that file, you can use it over and over and over again to create the products. That's how we'd create it. So how are we going to sell this, right? Because what's the point of making something to sell if it doesn't sell? So first, why is this going to sell? I mean, come on. The fact that it actually works, right? People love miniature things that are usually on a huge scale, but it actually is functional. So that's a really, really neat thing. And I believe it's an attention grabber at craft fairs. I can see having this out at the end of the table at the craft fair, attention grabber. Maybe you have, you're out there and you can demonstrate it. I think that'll really pull people in. This product makes a really cool gift for kids and adults. I picture my son loving to play with it. He's 3 years old, but also an adult playing with it. You know, you can picture this in a kid's room, but you can also picture this on an executive's desk, or your desk at work, just as a conversation piece. So a lot of versatility when it comes to gifting, which is a really, really good thing when it comes to sales. It appeals to a lot of people. I think you price these as something that's really accessible. I'd say $25 to $35 based on my experience in my area. Again, I'm in Kentucky. Now, if you live out in California, maybe that's a different market price, right? Here's a secret for you. If you really want to make money with your side hustle, price according to what someone is willing to pay for it, not what you have into it. Value is perceived, so the higher the perceived value, the more someone is willing to pay for it. Project number 2 are these serving boards and holders. So everybody makes serving boards, right? Even if you cut out unique shapes, it's been done. And there's a lot of it out there. But what I haven't seen before is this really, really unique way to hang them on the wall. That's really seamless, looks really modern, but it's basically serving boards just with one extra piece. So let's walk through how we design this. I would make this out of any hardwood. This particular one looks like it's made from walnut, some beautiful walnut. All right, so to make this, first let's think about the design. To design this in the software, we can break it down into shapes, right? There's 4 unique shapes here. So we just need to create the vectors of each shape and cut out with a 1/4 inch downcut bit with a profile toolpath. There's a trick though to pull this off and make it look so seamless. To get perfectly a tight fit from the handle and the holder, if you look, there is no gap And that is what sets this off. And it's like, whoa, how is that possible? So to get this tight fit, the key is to cut the boards from different pieces of wood. So rather than gluing up one big panel and cutting all 4 shapes out of the same piece of wood, we need to cut this out of individual pieces of wood. So all 4 pieces, 4 different glue ups, and everything is a snug fit, right? Because if we just did one panel and put it down and cut all the individual 4 shapes out, the 3 serving boards and the holder, we would have a gap where the bit had to go through and cut out. Okay, so that's how we would make it. Obviously, you have to sand it and finish it, all that stuff. But why is this going to sell? So how do we sell this? This piece is striking to me. Like if you just look at it, it's a piece of decor, functional decor that hangs on the wall and is like, whoa. Can really set off a kitchen. The way the serving boards hang in place almost effortlessly, that's a tongue twister, effortlessly is what will stop people in their tracks to check it out. Imagine this hanging up, get this hung on a wall, hung up somehow at a craft show so people can visually see it in action. Is really good. Everyone makes and tries to sell cutting boards and serving boards, but this one definitely is in a league of its own. Price point. Now, this is going to be really interesting, but I price this based on my experience and based on my location at a local craft market. I would price this at $200 to $300. Now, you may think that's cheap, or you may think that's expensive. Every market's different, like I said, but let's play out a realistic scenario. Add your own numbers in if you disagree, but let's play out a realistic scenario here. So say you made this out of walnut and the overall dimensions were 24 by 24 by an inch. That's the stock you started with. That's 4 board feet of walnut. At $10 per board foot, we would have $40 into wood. Figure an hour into labor, sanding, finishing, routing, all of that process. These are just rough numbers, but let's say you had $75 into making this board with your labor, materials, and wood. That's $125 to $225 profit. That is a fabulous profit margin. And it all has to do with just the simplicity, the modern look and design, and you're making 3 serving boards. What would you normally sell 3 serving boards for? $50 to $75 to $100 a piece. So I don't think $200 to $300 is out of the question here. All right, project number 3 is the baseball dice game. I think this is just a fantastic game, unique game for the baseball lover. How do we make this? Well, it looks like this one in particular is made out of poplar, but you could make this, I would just avoid pine. Pine just looks cheap, but you could make it out of pine if you wanted to. But I would say poplar or white oak would work well here. So steps to make it. Step number 1, we need to glue up a panel. That's roughly 16 by 16 by 3/4 of an inch. Really, it's just a panel. And for really complex designs like this, just buy them. There are so many files out there that don't try to recreate this. You could, if you have really good CAD skills, you could design your own. But I really just don't, like this is a lot of work. And for $5, I did a quick search on Etsy and there's several of these out there that you can purchase. Just make sure you read the terms of agreement if you're using someone else's design. And the other thing to look for is just make sure they have good reviews, because there are some junky files out there that everybody runs into. So I wouldn't just go for the cheapest, because there is such thing as a crappy file that's just going to create headaches for you. So make sure it's one that's reputable and read the terms. But for $5, it's not worth your time typically to recreate something this intricate. All right, then we just need to add the border to it out of the same material we created the stock out of. And you can source the pegs and dice from Amazon to include with the game. Now, feel free, you could stain this, you could paint this beforehand, you could maybe put those green grass stripes somehow on there. There's a lot of different options here that you could do to really elevate this and create this. So you can look at this particular one, it says Happy Birthday Logan and the Colorado Rockies. So you can put, it's personalizable, and put your favorite team on there. And this is really cool too, because there's no copyright things. You're just using text, right? You're not using team logos. So this is completely legit. I think this is going to sell well. 1, it's a unique gift 2, it's fun. It can be played over and over and over again. It's in a couple niches, baseball and games. I think that's a unique combination of the two things. It's kind of like baseball Yahtzee. Think about it like that. And it's highly giftable. People can easily picture grandkids, adults, any baseball fanatic. Travel baseball is massive. So I really feel like this can be a game that can bond people and play together as a family. It's a simple game. So a lot of fun to be had with friends and family. So how are we going to price this? I think we can price this at $45 to $55, targeting that $50 mark. But possibly more, depending on your area. But I think this is a great $50 gift. I kind of think about these price thresholds in my head. Like, you know, when we do this for the holidays, like, okay, I only want to spend $20 on a gift for this person, spend $50, spend $100. So I think this works here at $50. And the profit margin is there. It's enough. We're not using a lot of wood. Doesn't take a lot of time. So I think this is a great priced product that will sell well. All right, so project number 4 is the simplest project on this list, and it's really easy to make. These are ghost lawn decor items that I've ran across several places. But again, I don't recommend making these exact things and selling them online. That is not a plan for success. Like, sell them locally. Sell them locally at craft markets. Take these ideas, tweak them, make them your own, and sell them locally. If you don't want to sell them at craft markets, you don't want to physically go and do that, I think this one will sell really, really well on Facebook locally as well. How do we make this ghost lawn decor? 1, you just need a picture of a ghost, and then you need to trace the outline of it. And then you just need to create 1 profile toolpath and cut it out with a 1/4-inch bit. So here's the crux of this entire product. It's the material. Now, this particular one, the best product to make is use expanded PVC sheet. And I found some online here. And this particular one for 24 by 48 is $50. But this is what we want to use. So the key is going to be finding this one locally or buying it in bulk to get that price down, because it's pricey. It's pricey. If you got any other ideas of what material we could use that is rigid, sturdy, easy to machine, lightweight, can be outside, let me know down in the comments below. And there are a lot of websites with this particular material. It's just pricey. It's just, we got to get that price down. So it looks like this one where material costs could be higher, but our labor time is going to be lower, right? Like we'll put this on the CNC, cut the shape out, put some kind of back on it, some kind of stake. I think like those lawn stakes, and it's ready to go. So no sanding. It's just shape. You just cut it out and it's ready to go. So there is a play here. Let me know down in the comments if you know of a material that would work well here. All right, so how are we going to sell these? So Halloween is the most decorated holiday after Christmas. So the timing couldn't be any better. Right now is the time to sell these, and you can make them in any shape or size: ghosts, Frankenstein, bats, pumpkins. You could really make anything here, any shape. But I think you could sell a set, like this is kind of the model that I would go for. Sell a set of 3 for $50 or 1 for $25. Because I think they look better in sets, right? Rather than just putting 1 in the yard. These are smaller. If they're only 24 inches tall by 16 inches wide, I think that sets work better. So $50. So can we make a set for $50? That's the question. Not can we make it for $50, because obviously we want to make money. But does it work? Do the numbers work? And it's all gonna revolve around finding the right material at the right price. At the end of the day, I know that we can make this in 10 minutes or less. 1 tool path, really quick, no sanding, it's ready to go. Project number 5 is this wolf shelf. I love this one because, again, it's dual purpose. 1, it's a piece of decor. It's really cool looking. And 2, it's a shelf, so it's functional. So this is how I would make this. I would actually make it in 4 layers. Now, 3 of the layers are going to be the same material. I would use 3/4 inch MDF here. So the best way to explain this is, let's start from the top. So the face is going to be the outline. It's basically going to be 1 inch thick around the outside. The inside is going to be cut out. The tail's going to be solid. The feet are going to be solid. But basically, you're going to create the void. But you're going to put the engraving, like the trees and anything else. If you want to put a quote on this, something like that, you're going to put that on this face layer and engrave that. So the way you do this is paint first and then engrave. So you're removing the paint and you get that natural wood look. Okay, so that's the face. And then we're going to cut 2 layers of that MDF, same exact shape, just no engraving on the front, and 2 more layers of that. So that's layer 2 and layer 3, right? So what we're doing is we're creating the depth of our shelf. And then what we're going to do is take an 1/8 inch backer or 1/8 inch plywood or something along those lines and create a backer for this. So what we've created is we've created a 2 1/4 inch depth shelf. So we might need to add a 1/3. Again, I'm thinking about this off the top of my head right now. So add a 1/3 layer to get 3 inches of depth. So it'd be our top faceplate, 3 outlines of MDF. That would give us 3 inches with those 4 layers, and then our backer. That's the way I would do that. Now, to get the shelves, this is a really cool trick. What I would do is create slots where those shelves would slide in. And that's where we're going to slide our shelves into. But what we need to account for is that we're cutting them out with a round tool. So the corners are going to have a 1/8 inch radius on it from our bit, right? Our bit can't leave a perfect 90-degree corner unless you cut it with a laser. Different story. And our shelves are going to have square ends. So square peg into a round hole doesn't work. So what we need to do is take put an 1/8 inch round over on all the ends of our shelves, and those should match, right? Put your round over in, slide it in, and it should be a good fit that way. So how are we going to sell this? Well, I think this looks really, really neat sitting on a table at a craft fair and is eye-catching, right? Like, you don't see people make these types of things at craft fairs. One, it looks really, really cool as a piece of decor. People can have it in their bathroom. People could have it in their kitchen or in their dining room, living room, something like that. And they can store different things on it. So it's a piece of decor in itself, but it's also functional. I love products like that. It's multifaceted, right? It looks good, but you can also use it. So based on my experience and in my area, I would price this around the $75 mark. Again, you don't see this. People don't make these typically. Like, you buy this at the store. But the fact that you can make it and you're really going to be set apart from other craft fair vendors, and you're going to get the question. Be prepared to answer the question for this is, did you make that? Because you typically don't see that here in this setting. So I think $75 all day long, but I can see this going up to $100 or $125, just depending on your local market and where you're located. So which one of these project ideas do you think has the most potential and makes you the most excited? That's the one that you should make and create. Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're doing that, listen to what these CNC Side Hustle alumni have to say about their experience with the CNC Side Hustle.
You gave us all the tools that we would need to do that. Like I said, there was a lot of stuff that I had no clue.
The thing I got most out of it, or that I liked out of it the most, was the project ideas.
Business and economics and marketing aren't new to me. But what is new to me is doing it in a small business and doing it online. I've never done that stuff.
I was focusing more on the product and less on the business when I started. Being in business for 30 some years, I knew the business was important, but I also get driven into, I want to go create something else. It's the creativity part that wants to get me to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. So I've got a roadmap. As I tell my wife and my brother, who's kind of my business partner, I need to just sit down and lay it all out.
The opportunities I feel like that open up and that I didn't even think about or would know, even reaching out to, realtors. It's just different avenues of like thinking, different ways to go about it.
Your course information was extremely helpful and also kind of gave me a different way of looking at things. So that was very, very valuable.
The insights and learn from mistakes that I made so that you don't have to make them.
It's just kind of
not having to get over that hump on your own. And I'm like, some people will share it, freely on YouTube, but a lot of it is closely guarded secrets, like, because it's something that you've taken, that you've developed, that you've learned.
There was a lot of stuff that I had no clue. You know how long it probably took you to figure that stuff out. Maybe I would have gave up until that point. I'm sure that's what happens to a lot of people that can't figure it out and don't have all this information that you gave. It's like, you know what, this just isn't for me, and they can't figure it out.
Being a retired corporate executive, you have to move at pace and you have to keep people's interest. And you didn't keep dwelling and dogging on the same subject. You moved on.
You could tell you put a lot of time, a lot of effort into it. The detail that you went into was really good.
The layout of the course was pretty good. I liked that there was a video for each section, but then there was, some commentary to back it up, to come back and look at. And then, obviously links to the things that were referred to in the video.
Being a retired corporate executive, you have to move at pace and you have to keep people's interest. And you didn't keep dwelling and dogging on the same subject. You moved on.
I'll be watching and rewatching and taking notes on the video to, the different video modules to try and take that and take it to the next stage.
Where the heck am I going to get good material and stuff, and how am I going to sell it or market it? That's why I enrolled in your course.
I truly believe that there isn't a better way to learn how to make, market, and sell more of your CNC projects than the CNC Side Hustle. So if you want to fast track your success in your CNC Side Hustle, head to the link in the description below to learn more. Today's inspiration is coming from Wayfair.com. I just want to reiterate that we're not trying to compete with Wayfair. We're simply using their website to gain inspiration to make and create and sell our own products in our own markets. So let's jump right in. Number one is this Choose Happy sign. Wayfair has it listed as the farmhouse wall decor, but it could be any style that you wanted. All right, so there's a few reasons why this one caught my eye, but mainly it's because it's really simple to make, really cheap to make as well. So materials, fence pickets. Now, you've maybe seen people use fence pickets to create different products, and fence pickets would work really, really well here. So doing a quick online search, it looks like locally I can get a fence picket for $2.08. The bits that you would need to create this is simply just a 60-degree V-groove bit. Now, the steps to make it is first we need to prepare our stock. So it would be cutting down that fence picket down to 18-inch sections, or whatever size you wanted your sign to be. The fence pickets are 5.5 inches wide. To make one the same size as this one, you would need 3 fence pickets wide. The backer to connect all the fence pickets together. That way, because we're gonna machine this and you want something stable. So one at the top, one at the bottom, and then you'll paint the whole thing the color you want, give it the rustic look you want, or no rustic look. But the key is to paint it a different color and then put it on the CNC and machine whatever saying that you wanted with that 60-degree V-groove bit. And so you're gonna basically remove the paint where that bit goes, and it's gonna pop. The wood letters are gonna pop against the paint color. This has a lot of possibility. If you don't have a lot of experience with CNC, or you're just getting into it, this is an excellent project to start with. So next, let's talk about selling this. I want to give you inspiration, but also give you some direction on where I see this being sold and why it would sell. So the first one is why do I think this sign will sell well? Well, wall decor sells well in general because everybody is transforming their spaces, their living spaces, to feel a certain way. The Choose Happy saying is a really, really good one. Because it evokes an emotion, right? Like you walk into your living room, it says choose happy. We're all faced with negativity all around us. So this one would stick out really, really well. So good products bring up some kind of emotion. So how much could we sell this for? Well, let's look at how much material and the time estimates that we would have into making this. Roughly $3 into materials. You're gonna have more upfront cost, I get that, but you're gonna be able to make multiple signs with a can of spray paint. So I'm estimating about $3 into material cost to make one of these signs. You can make it in less than an hour. Not a very difficult project at all as far as the time it takes. You could set this up. Limited programming, design files, very limited. It's just text. I think this could sell for $40 or more, depending on your market. I think I wouldn't sell it for anything less than that. All right, number 2 is a really unique take on a product that's done a lot, and that is trays. So I really, really like the flair on this one, the design flair, and it's a really, really cool idea. So how do we make this? I would use hardwood for this, and really, I think that really sets, it equals the design, if that makes sense. A hardwood with some kind of poly on it to really make the grain pop. But if you wanted to paint it to make it a solid color, that could look cool too. You could use a softwood. You could even make this out of pine or MDF or something along those lines. But you'll also need some acrylic to pull this off. I'll talk about here in a second. So to make this, we'll be using a downcut bit and an O-flute bit. The O-flute is to cut the acrylic. So looking at this, how do we make this? Well, first, we need to cut our design out, and it can be literally any kind of design. They got a geometric design look here. Looks really cool. And then we're going to cut that circle base out. Then we're going to glue up another panel and cut out our outside rim. To minimize waste, I realize that something like this can generate a lot of waste because you're cutting that rim out, and what are you going to do with the middle? And a really good tip, a really thing to do is to make a smaller version, right? So you start with your bigger tray, and then maybe you offer 2 other sizes and size down to really utilize that waste. Then we're going to cut a piece of acrylic, a circle that will fit inside the whole tray to make it a solid bottom and see-through. So I went back and forth a little bit on how to design this. And what I like is I like a nice consistent look. You can see the look all the way down the edge on what you see. So I actually, in this case, I actually want my base to fit inside my rim and then attach it that way. Now, there's pros and cons here. Maybe I don't use nails. Maybe I just use glue in that case, or something on the back. Because if you oversized the base and the rim sat on top of the base, that's where I was thinking you could use glue and then pin nails in the backside, and you would never see them because they would be, it's hard to see them anyways, but they would be on the base. I don't like pin nails through the side, so maybe glue and maybe just glue. So price breakdown, what can we make it for? What can we sell it for? Estimate the material cost to be about $15. That's including the wood and the acrylic. Maybe a little bit more. Wood prices are different everywhere, but I think you can make this definitely for under 20 bucks in material costs. That does not include the price of handles. Handles could be, it really just depends on how high end you want to go. So I didn't include handle prices. I think this could sell for $75 plus, depending on the size and the design, but this one in the right place, to the right person that really likes modern design, I think this is $75 and up. Wouldn't go less than that. This really, really looks high end. And again, I think this has the possibility to go $150, $200. Like those are very, very possible in the right markets. But locally for me, I think this is a $75 product. So there's a really powerful tip I've got here in a second. But first, I want to share number 3 with you. And then I'll share this tip because it has to do with this category. So number 3 is this pet elevated feeder. So serving bowls, dog bowls, food bowls for dogs, cats, things like that. I really like this one. This one caught my eye. The material that they used was actually mango wood. Kind of looks like maple. So I figured that we could use some maple hardwood and then make our own legs for it. So if you go out and do research, there are endless designs for pet bowls, pet food bowls. And so I think that we could make our legs out of the same wood or a contrasting wood and paint them black. But I really like the light colored top because you can laser engrave on it and get some really good contrast. So you can laser engrave a saying, a funny saying, cool saying, dog's name, things like that. So I like using a nice hardwood and putting a clear coat on it of some sort to protect it. So to make this would be really easy. It's just a downcut bit, or you could use a compression bit, but downcut bit is all you need here, 1/4 inch downcut bit. And you're literally just cutting 2 holes. And then where the tricky design, what you want to do with the legs, You could cut arches that go, on the ends and then nail into the maple. There's a lot of different ways you could do. But if we wanted to design it just like this, the way they have it, I would just make the legs out of some cheap pine and paint them. So cut, 1 inch by 1 inch strips, make a frame, make legs that come down off from it, and then attach the top to it. That's what you would do to get this look. All right, so what does it look like to sell something like this? Well, one, the reason it caught my attention is people spend a lot of money on pets. The other thing about a pet bowl, like a dog food bowl, is that's something that you use every day. You fill it up every day. Dogs eat every day, multiple times a day. So it's something that gets used a lot in a popular niche. So I think this product has a lot of possibilities and you can really make some money with it. Price breakdown. What can we make it for? What can we sell it for? For this design specifically, I think you're looking at about $7 to $8 into materials and about an hour worth of labor. I bet you could get these done even faster because you're literally cutting 2 holes, sanding. You could make it out of 1 board. If you get a 6-inch wide board, cut it down, sand it, cut 2 holes in it for pet bowls, put a round over or a chamfer on the edges, and make the base, assemble it, you're good to go. So I think you could do these really, really quick. But based on some quick research just online, you could easily sell this for $60 to $70 or even more depending on the market. Again, bare minimum, I think $60. If you're gonna do something personalized, $75, $80. Now, again, this is an area where people spend a lot of money and they use every day. So if you put their pet's name on it, man, that is so powerful. And I think you could sell these all day long at that price point. I wanna share one of my favorite tricks that I use to find these products that are more popular than others. And so I go on wayfair.com. You can do this on any website. So what that looks like on Wayfair is they have the sort by drop down here, and it's sorting by recommended right now. So they're serving you based on certain parameters that we really don't know, but they recommend them, right? But we can go to sort by price, high, low, but go to this customer rating. And so what this is going to do is this is going to push the higher rated, the customers that found the product more satisfying, they were satisfied with it, at the top. So then we can go through it and we can look at these reviews here. This couch, for example, has 1,759 reviews. This one right here, this cat litter box enclosure and end table, has 7,400 and it's 4.5 stars. So a really cool thing. We can drill down even further. And if we scroll to the bottom, this is on every website, by the way. If we scroll to the bottom, it has all the reviews. So you can literally look and see what real people left. Lauren says it's perfect. I hope to find a liner to fit. Brittany says, perfect. My cat loves this enclosed box. He went to it immediately. So this gives you you can actually get ideas to make customizations to the product. Maybe someone has an idea in here. They also have consumer pictures. You can look and see what it looks like in the space. And you can also look for negative reviews and see what people don't like about it and solve that problem. So a lot of options here. So this one has 7,400. It's a 4.6 review. Now, a website's never going to give you the sales numbers per se, but we can kind of reason that this item or a item has been popular or hasn't been popular. Like if you see some of these other ones, like if we look at these other, go down here. Okay, this one has 1,800 reviews. Now it could be on the website longer. There's other factors, but this is how we can do our research and see what's popular, what hasn't been popular, what people like, what people don't like, and add our creativity to it and make a really cool product that has the potential to sell well. So this is, again, just how gathering inspiration and doing research based on real people buying real products. All right, next is this mirror. Now, this is a really, really cool idea, and it's super powerful. I haven't seen anybody do it yet, but making wall mirrors. Now, I had to do a little bit of research, and I went on to Amazon to see if you could buy mirror material. what mirror glass. It's basically glass. Now we can't cut glass on a CNC router anyways. So it's easier just to buy the piece of glass and then build a mirror base to fit your pre-cut piece. So this one has a metal outside, but I really think walnut would look really, really good here. So here's my initial thoughts on how to make this. So it'll be a downcut bit. Again, we're doing a circle, so there's gonna be waste in the middle. So making a smaller mirror, smaller size mirror to try to use some of that waste would be key. But basically you'd cut the rim edge out of your hardwood, make a smaller mirror out of the center to optimize material usage, and then I'd use a plywood backer so it fits inside the rim. You could probably use MDF or something like that. We're making the outside rim larger than the backer because we want to hide that plywood edge. If you look at the back, they actually have some of these tabs. So I think that's the way you do it, is you actually don't use any nails or anything. You use whatever these tabs are. We have to do some research on them. If you know what these tabs are right here, in the back, you can zoom in, look like little tiny screws. Yeah, that's basically the way we want to build it, is we have walnut around the back edge and then have an 1/8" plywood backer, and that's what our mirror is going to attach to. So I think this will sell well because it is a daily use item. Mirrors, we look in a mirror every single day. And so it's one of those things that's often overlooked, but if you could make a custom mirror for somebody out of walnut or something like that, it looks really, really good. You could even laser engrave the outside, I was thinking, and make like a really, really cool gift. You can't laser engrave glass. I've learned that the hard way. You can't laser engrave, at least with a CO2 laser, maybe a fiber laser. Fiber laser, not sure. Let me know down in the comments if you've engraved glass with a fiber laser, because that could be really cool too. Like you could put a really cool quote on it. It's like a wall decor piece, but taking it up a notch, right? It has form and function and makes someone feel something. I think it's a really big winner. So the mirror that I found on Amazon real quick was a 12-inch mirror, 12-inch round, for $12. So I figure you have $5 into the wood. This could be made in less than an hour. This is not a very difficult project. It's a really easy project. I think we can easily get, out of that 12-inch round, I think you can easily get 90 to $100 out of it, or more, depending on the size. I actually think that you go bigger with this. I don't know how much a 3-foot round piece of glass is, but think about if you had a 4x4 CNC and you did a 4-foot mirror that someone put in their bathroom, custom mirror, and they looked at it every day and it was a big statement piece. Like, you sell that for $1,000, $3,000, $5,000. Like, that is something that is a big statement piece. Now, I don't have the numbers. I haven't done the research on a 4x4 piece of glass, mirror glass, but I think there's a lot of possibility there, and it's something that's possible on our CNCs. All right, so the next project that caught my eye is this jewelry organizer tray. All right, to make this one's made out of like a suede or leather, which you could do the inside of your pockets that way. That could look kind of cool. But again, this is just make this out of a hardwood lumber, one that you like. One that I came across recently that I'm looking forward to trying is, I think you say sapele, sapali, I don't know. But you know what I'm talking about. It has some beautiful color to it. I think it would look really, really good here. So to make this, it would be a downcut bit and basically 8 pockets. Now you might have to, it'd be pretty hard to get one wide enough board to make something like this, but you could, if you could get an 8 or 10-inch wide board, that would really enable you not to have to glue things together and have glue line, like grain lines where you see the change. So I really like making things like this out of one piece of wood, and it actually ups the value of it as well, because it's like, one, that wood's probably more expensive, but 2, it's like, hey, this was made out of one piece of wood. It kind of adds to the story. So if you have to though, glue 2 pieces of wood together, set up your pockets, 8 pockets, That's all it is. Now, you could change the design. You could make some smaller pockets, some bigger pockets, but I really like how this one, the thin border in between the pockets is really what sets the dividers, is what sets this off. They're thin, they're sleek, they look really, really good. So why do I think this will sell well? One is this isn't my world, but a lot of people's world, there is jewelry involved in it. And I don't know if you know this or not, but jewelry is one of the highest sales categories on Etsy. The highest sales shop on Etsy is Caitlin Minimalist, I think, and it's a jewelry shop. So there's a lot of people that are buying jewelry, and they need a place to put their jewelry. Everybody that wears jewelry has a place to store it. And I think this is really, really unique because one, it displays them, looks really, really cool, and they're easy to see on a nightstand, something like that. This is a high-end item. So what can we make this for and sell it for? Well, it's going to depend on the wood that you make it out of, but I think you'll have around $15 into hardwoods into something like this. Again, that's going to depend on where you live. The sanding is what's going to take the longest, but if you do a finishing pass with your CNC, meaning decreasing your step over, making your step over smaller, you can really limit the amount of sanding that you have to do on these trays. Otherwise, it's a nightmare. I've been there and it's a lot of sanding. I think you can sell this for $75 to $100. Again, this is one of those items where it could go for more in the right market. If you're in front of the right people, it's a great gift. You could even laser engrave like on the backside, like an anniversary. It's a very giftable product. Project number one is this piece of wall art, where you take a piece of MDF and you carve this tree into it with your loved one's initials. I think this is a really, really neat project, and it's really easy to make as well. And as you can see here, they're selling for a big profit if you wanted to sell this. So in order to make this, I would use a piece of 3/4 inch MDF. I would paint it the color that you want to paint it. A tip is to use some sanding sealer on MDF because when you paint MDF, it raises the grain and it becomes really rough. But in order to get a nice smooth finish, use some sanding sealer, sand it down, and then paint it, and then carve it, and you'll get great results. I really like this project. One, it's personalized. I love personalized projects because they sell well, but also because MDF is super inexpensive. So there's not a lot of material cost here. So by this project being personalized and the low material cost, the combination of those two things makes the income potential huge for this project. One, personalized items sell very well. Two, low material cost. You know, material costs you can't control, but this one has high appeal with low end materials. Number two are these wooden flowers. Now, who wants to buy flowers that die in 5 days when you could make some wooden flowers that don't ever die and you could personalize them? So this project probably excels on a CNC laser, but totally doable on a CNC router as well with an 1/8 inch bit or even a 1/16 inch bit and layering materials. So the way that this particular one is done is cutting 1/8 inch material and a laser. They cut the base out, the stem, and the petals, and then they paint the petals, and then they cut the top layer and glue those two layers together. It gives you that layered look. And this one has some personalization on the stem, which is a neat touch. It can be a saying, it could be a date, it can be names. So these make a great gift, but they also make a great item to sell. One, this is a really cool item, right? You could do like a dozen roses of these and put them in a vase, and that's just a really cool idea and something that lasts forever. So as you can see, there's a lot of different options here, but the uniqueness of these would make them very sellable as long as the low material cost. If you could get, $15 a flower or even if you can get $10 a flower, you could make these really quickly on a laser and customize them. You could really start batching these out. Think about $120 for a dozen of wooden roses. That sounds really cool. Number three are personalized keychains. I really like these wooden personalized keychains that have these 4 sides where you can put different sayings on them. Just a really cool, unique gift, one of a kind, where your loved ones aren't expecting something personalized like this. And you'll see most of these items are personalized, and I think that just adds that touch. If you have a CNC router or CNC laser and you can make something like this and personalize it for a loved one, man, that is so powerful. It's so cool. So if you're going to sell these, there's a couple things to think about here. Is you can buy the keychains already, or you could produce your own little wooden blanks and make them any shape that you wanted to, and buy the chain and the little clasp and make your own keychains. Either way, you're just going to add personalization to them, whether you buy a finished piece to start off with or you make your own. But low material cost, high value here. Sell a keychain like this for 10 bucks, sell a bunch of them. I personally know that keychains and magnets are very big sellers. People love keychains because they're small, and small items sell really well. It's easier for someone to pull $5 or $10 out of their pocket than it is for someone to 50 or 100. And since they usually have a saying on them or a picture, or in this case, personalization or a quote, that is really powerful. Again, I know I've already said this, but that having the power to do that is very powerful when it comes to selling items. So number 4 is this wooden chocolates box. When I was looking around the internet for inspiration and looking for different items, unique items, I came across this one, and this is so cool. To be able to create, we all know with those heart-shaped chocolate boxes, we've all probably got them over the years, and they have the different chocolates in them. But you can make one out of wood and completely customize it and put a name on it, or to from, to so-and-so, from you. There's just so many different options here. So I thought this was really, really neat. So to make this, it would take a little bit of design work, but it's really easy to do. You're making basic shapes inside a heart. And then you're gonna cut with the CNC all the way through the material. For this particular one, they used plywood, but plywood, it kind of looks cheap a little bit. I would make this a little higher end and make it out of something else. At least the front and the back, make it out of a different material, just to kind of to raise the value a little bit. But nonetheless, it's done the same way no matter what material you use. So I would make this out of 3 separate pieces of wood. You have the back, the grid where the chocolates sit into is going to be glued to the back, and then you have the lid as the 3rd piece. So something like this would be really cool to give, but to sell, it'd be really unique because I haven't seen anything like this before. So again, you'd have really limited material costs. It depends what kind of wood you would use. But let's say you had $10 to $15 in, depending on the size. I'm thinking you make one big, like 18 inches tall, maybe by 12 inches wide, or vice versa. Depends how those proportions fit. But make it big, make a statement, either big or really small. Big, you can fit more chocolate in. Anyways, I digress. But I think you could put $75 on this. I think you could put $100 on this. I think maybe you could even put more. But just testing it out depends where you live, and you're going to get different amounts from where I live versus probably where you live. But that's kind of what it would go for in my area. Number 6, Valentine's cards. Like the Hallmark cards that you get and everybody throws away. Let's be honest. Everybody just writes a cute little note and then they take the money out of them and they toss them. I'm not trying to be insensitive. Really, that's where all Hallmark cards end up, is in the trash. And they're like $6 a piece or more. It's ridiculous for a piece of cardboard. So everybody buys cards for Valentine's Day. So I thought it'd be really cool to make cards, make a wooden card. And so this one I found is a cool idea. This one's laser cut, but again, you could cut this with a CNC router as well, and just put a unique message on it. You could, this one has 2 layers, has a base layer, then it has a contrasting wood top layer, which is just unique. But you get the idea. You could customize this however you wanted with hearts, different colored hearts. You could paint it. You could do different kinds of woods. There really is a lot of options here. So if you made blank cards, just like they do, just like Hallmark does, or Walmart or Target or any of them do, and then you could sell them for people to sign. I think that's still neat to be able to give wooden cards. And to be honest with you, wooden cards are just better than cardboard $6 cards. So the crazy thing about this, and I'm thinking about this on the spot here, but you could make a wooden card for cheaper than you could buy a paper card. But you could sell the wooden card for more than you could buy a paper card. An interesting thought. But sell these for 10 bucks. I think that's completely reasonable for something customizable. Sell them and still leave a place where they could write a little handwritten note with a Sharpie or with a pen and sign it. I just think it's a cool alternative to paper cards. Number 6 is this I Love You jewelry tray. Now, this is the one I'm making for my wife, and you can make for your loved one as well. I'll have everything in the description below for you to be able to do that, including the files that I used. But hang tight, don't go to the description yet, because I am going to show you exactly how I made this jewelry tray. Now, I am using mahogany, but you can use any material that you have. Hardwood, maple, oak, walnut, any of those will work. But let's get into the project and I'll show you exactly how I made it. All right, so the first bit we're going to use for this project is a 1-inch surfacing bit. We're going to do this to flatten our stock on each side. Now, I have a planer, and I typically use my planer to flatten my stock, or you can buy, pre-flattened stock that's a little more expensive. But today, just to make sure everything is flat, or if you don't have flat stock, or you don't have a planer, you can do this. Here's another way to do it. So we're going to take our stock that is starting out at 1 7/8 inches thickness down to 1 1/4 inches, because that's how thick I want this tray. All right, so we just finished up this first flattening pass to get the correct thickness. And I forgot something, imagine that. I need to run downstairs to the shop real quick and cut off this excess piece. I forgot to cut my stock to the width that I was gonna use, so no big deal. I'm just gonna do that real quick, and then we'll flip this and do the same thing on the other side to get our final thickness. All right, so we got our mahogany to the thickness that we want. Final thickness is 1 1/4 inches. I always like to tap my collet nut, not a lot, because you can loosen the bearings in here, doing it a lot, but just to give it a little tap, just to knock some of the sawdust out of there. You can also take the collet nut off and hit it like this. But if you don't get the dust out of there, you won't be able to get a good grip on the shank of the bit. The next bit I'm using is a 60-degree V-groove bit, and this is gonna be a really quick toolpath. What it's gonna do is put a chamfer on the top edge of our jewelry tray. This is really just gonna set it off, kind of a detail. Small details. It's all in the small details. All right, so for my V-groove bits, I like to set them, the X and the Y 0 to, I like to set it manually. And one of the reasons is that a V-groove bit is obviously angled like a V, and so your offsets can be off. If you're using a plate like this that sets your XYZ 0, and as the bit is coming to touch off, since your bit is angled, it's an angled surface, your offsets can be off because of that angled surface, if that makes sense. I just set it manually, which you could do anyways. Some CNCs don't even have a touch plate, but just to explain what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna put that tip of that V right on the corner here and 0 that way. All right, so 60-degree V-groove bit is done. Next we're gonna use is the 3/4 inch bowl and tray bit. And what this is gonna do is this is gonna give us our pocket. So it's a pocketing toolpath. It's gonna do 2 toolpaths actually. First, it's gonna rough everything out with a large step over, like 75% step over. And then it's gonna come back and I'm gonna tighten that step over. So think about step over, a large step over. The passes are further apart, and a tighter step over, the passes are closer together. The closer the passes are together, the smoother the finish we get. And that's the goal. So we got to our final depth of 3/4 inch for our pocket. The next bit is going to be this 30-degree V-groove bit, engraving bit. So you can tell it has a very fine point. So this engraving bit is going to engrave all of our I love you text. Now this toolpath is going to take a while. The computer says about 30 minutes. We'll end up and see how long it actually is going to take. Sometimes those estimates are not accurate, but this is a lot of up and down. because this is a deep pocket. So let's see. I want to make sure I have the clearance. I want to make sure my collet doesn't hit the sides here. Just know, take your collet and your depth. Like if you're carving, if you're engraving at a depth that's not at the surface, you just need to watch out where your collet is going to land once your bit gets down to that lettering depth. It'll make sense here when you see it. Okay, the engraving is finished. Now that took it cleared off the screen, but it took around 20 minutes. I checked it when it was about 3/4 of the way done, and it was at 12 minutes. So 20 minutes, not bad to engrave all of this. Now, it's a little hard to see. It's a little faint. If I was to do this all over again, I may go a tad deeper, but I may not. So where I'm at, my thought process is, it's always a good idea to go over V carving or or engraving twice. The second time, run the same exact toolpath, same depth, same everything, will clean it up a lot. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run this a second time, but first I'm going to do the final profile toolpath around the outside because I have all these toolpaths sandwiched together in one file. So I'm just going to continue, do the bit change, and go on and do it. So all the bits that I've used for this project, I've used a total of 5 bits, are all ANDYBIRD Builds bits. These are high quality American made bits where you can skip the confusion and start making projects on your CNC right away. You don't have to worry about, is this a good bit? Isn't this a good bit? Am I spending too much? This is a happy medium, a good quality American made bit for a good price. So all that, including the file for this project, will be down in the descriptions below. So head to ANDYBIRDbuilds.com, click the link in the description, whatever way you want to get there, and pick up a set of ANDYBIRD Builds bits. I literally left an onion skin here, which is just a term for leaving a little bit of wood. I usually like to cut all the way through so it's nice and clean. But this is literally like, I'll show you here. It's almost perfect, to be honest with you. Like you can see, like it's just a tiny bit on the bottom, and I'm using a down cut bit. So it's pushing all that material down, downwards. And so it gets packed in there. But also, it kind of gives you a little bit of security in there too, because it's packing that tool path. And so nothing will move on you when you cut all the way through. But yeah, look at that. All right, so like I have for all the rest of them, let's break down the price for this item. Now, I made this out of mahogany. You could make this out of any hardwood, like I said earlier, so that will dictate the price. But I figure I have about $10 into the mahogany I used for this project. So $10, it took me about an hour to create from start to finish. And that's because I ran that engraving toolpath twice, which was 20 minutes a time. The other toolpaths were really, really quick. It took me a while to create the file, but again, the file's available for you, so you don't have to create the file. It's a cool thing about CNC, create the file once, make a bunch of them. So in my area, I think I can sell this for $50. $40 to $50, I think, is completely reasonable for something like this. Even more is possible depending on where you are and who you're selling them to. But I picture this as like a $40 to $50 item. It's a jewelry tray. It's not personalized. It's not one of a kind. I could make a bunch of these, but it's made out of mahogany. So I would say 4 to 5x material cost is a good estimate of what this would sell for. Number 1 on this list are these Christmas tree candle holders. So I thought this was unique. Obviously, Christmas is coming up, and it's not, I've seen people just make these Christmas trees before as like a piece of decor, but why not put a tea light in them? And it reflects, casts a shadow on the wall. I'm really into casting shadows. It just kind of sets a mood. It really does. So I really like these, really easy to make on the CNC. Let's break this down. All right, so first I would make this in 2 pieces here. I would cut the tree as 1 piece, and then I would cut the base, right? The base is pretty easy. It's just a block with a pocket in it, the same size as a tea light. And you don't have to use a candle necessarily here. You could use a real candle. You could use a battery operated candle. as well. But the base had the pocket, and then I would create another pocket for the base of the tree to fit in. And a really cool idea as I was browsing through this, inspiration, an idea that I had was you could make let's make several inserts. So not just a tree. What if you did a couple other inserts? And that way maybe they could have this out year round. Or you could just stay with a Christmas theme and do maybe a Christmas tree, a star, an elf, Santa, something like that. But with the CNC, with the power of the CNC, we can make intricate shapes. And so I thought that could be a really easy way to make this a more substantial product. And then, the other option is to leave it out year round. So maybe you included 6 holiday inserts and they just changed them out, left it out year round on their mantle and changed them out as they went through. So a lot of options here. And one thing I need to note before I get into this, if you haven't watched one of these videos before, this isn't stealing people's ideas. This is simply gathering inspiration around us, and how can we iterate and how can we make it ours, right? I always talk about different sizes, different shapes, different woods, different designs. Taking a concept and making it ours, making it better is what we're looking to do here. So we're looking for inspiration. We're not looking to copy people. I know this is kind of a side note, but I've worked with some major corporations, and let me tell you what they do. I've seen their spreadsheets. I've been sent their spreadsheets from major businesses of, hey, can you make these things? And you know what they do? Not saying it's right, not saying you should do that, but they literally go and snip and copy and paste things off the internet that they want in their store. So everybody's looking for inspiration, and that's just the way it is. So things that catch your eye, make it your own. But I just want to let you know that example of people that are doing millions of dollars a year are gathering inspiration from other people. So you can too. Totally. You don't need to come up with these blue ocean ideas every time. All right. So that's how I'd make it. Really simple build, really simple materials. How do we sell it? I think this would be a great craft fair, Christmas craft fair product. And, as people are looking for decor. Now, the thing with putting out, like selling seasonal decor, is you have to have it out sooner than you think you do, because people need to have time, one, to buy it from you, take it home, set it up, and they want it to be out a while. That's why I like the seasonal idea. Like, oh, I just don't use this for Christmas. I can use this year round. That's really powerful. I can get it out on Easter and Thanksgiving and 4th of July and just change it up, change the design up throughout the year. All right, let's get the pricing. Now, keep in mind, every market is different. And I always teach to price to the market. And I mean, when I say market, not individual craft markets, I'm talking about like your regional geographical area, the area you're in. That really makes a difference. Something like this is going to sell different here than it is in California. That's just the reality of it. This may seem low to you, may seem high to you, adjust accordingly. But I think for this, I would have less than $5 into this product to make this product. I think you could sell this for $25 to $30 as is, just with a Christmas tree. And I think you go all the way up to 50 or 60 if you add that seasonal. If someone can have it out year round, I think that really, really adds a lot of value to it for not a lot of cost. Number 2 project are these cribbage boards. Now, these are actually laser cut. You could do these with CNC as well. But with laser cut, you're able to get some of these more intricate designs. And you know what I found really interesting about this is I've got some friends who are really, they're going to watch this video, and they sell cribbage boards. And you're going to hear about their story more in an upcoming video. But regardless, what I like about this design is that it's the same outside design, and one, they're two-tone. I think that looks really, really good. The two-tone looks really good. And they have just a simple shape in the middle that just, it adds, so you have cribbage, right? And cribbage is really big in the north of the United States and Canada, particularly the Northeast. It's a passion of theirs. So I think it's cool adding a design like this to them. And they have this has a lot of them, and you actually can customize the pegs. That's kind of cool. And I recognize this store as well and who this is. I just saw this, but regardless, these pegs look really, really cool. I think that's a good idea. They do a great job with these. So since these are laser cut, let's go over how I would make them with a laser. And that is, you cut your base. It's made in layers. You cut your bottom base. You're going to cut your outside 2 track and cut the inside out. And then you're going to cut your walnut in that inside diameter shape, and then cut your fish or design, whatever else, into it. So this is literally 2 layers of 1/8 inch plywood. Or you could make them you could use plywood or 1/8 inch hardwood, which would be a little bit harder, but it would look really good. These look really good. Now, if you want to make these with a CNC, it's all done with an 1/8 inch downcut bit, and you can get the pegs, peg holes, and you can cut the design. You can cut everything with an 1/8 inch downcut bit on a CNC and make the same thing. All right, so you may be wondering, well, I don't even know what cribbage is. I never played cribbage. Here's the thing. Why these sell? They sell because there's a strong emotional attachment to this in certain people, in a demographic. And people grew up playing this game, and this is true for any game. You just have to match it to the audience. I teach all the time. I teach it here. I teach it in my course. I teach it everywhere, that you have to match your product to your customer. And I think it can be a big daunting thing. Like, how do I know what people want? Well, that's part of the game and part of the fun of it, to figure that out. But that's just a simple way of saying, find your niche. Find a niche and and make a product that people care about. It's as simple as that. And so cribbage is this, like I said, in the Northeast of the United States, in Canada, southern Canada, like the border of the United States and Canada, cribbage is really popular and has been. It creates that nostalgia feel for people. All right, so for price, it looks like they have 45 on these. I think that's accurate. These look smaller based on the hand size. These probably look like 6-inch boards, maybe 6x4 or 8x4, something like that. And I think that, around $40 to $50 is an accurate price for something like this. And then material cost depends what you made them out of, obviously. But as they're made right now, looks like out of an ash and a walnut, higher end wood. Let's say with waste, let's say you had $10, because plus you have pegs, time. Let's say $10 into them. So there's definitely some room for profit there. All right, number 3. Product inspiration are these dinosaur wall hooks. So these are cool. I have a son, and I pictured these hanging up in his room. If you had a dinosaur theme, I think those are really neat. They're just hanging hooks. You can hang clothes, you can hang whatever on them. All right, so how would we make these? Well, we're going to cut out the shape with a 1/4 inch downcut bit. And these are made out of oak, which I think a hardwood is a great play here. Oak, you could do walnut, you could do maple, anything like that, just kind of the vibe you were going for. But this goes well here. I'm wondering if they use like a Sharpie. I don't know how they're painting that eye on there. So they're attached to the wall by this little threaded insert, which is really simple. So you have a circle with a threaded insert that's going to attach to the back of the wall of the dinosaur. And then you have these wall anchors with threaded bolts, threaded rod that thread into the insert. So I think that's a really easy way to do that. So I had a couple ideas on how to make these a little bit different. One, I think you could change the size. You could make them bigger, and they all 4 don't have to be the same size. So I think that could be unique. And maybe you could hang more on them then. I don't know. The other thing was different materials, but also I think you could do even other things in dinosaurs, right? Like, you don't have to stop at dinosaurs. There's tons of themes out there. My son is into tractors and trucks and all that. So that would be a really cool idea. I think these will sell well because people spend a lot of money on kids, grandparents, aunts and uncles. This is a very giftable thing, and someone isn't going to buy this for themselves. So again, digging into that emotional connection, these purchases are easy, justifiable purchases. Like, I'm going to buy this for my son, or I'm going to buy this, I'm not buying it for myself. Decking out nurseries is a really big thing. People spend a lot of money decorating, especially their first child. Sorry if you're the second child, but decorating nurseries. You could also extrapolate this idea even out further and do different areas of the house, do different items. You could do flowers. Something that'd be really cool that's popped in my head is you could do some 3D like relief carved flowers that people could hang in their pantry. That's a really good idea. I think these would sell well online. They're easy to ship. They're unique, especially if you go into different shapes, sizes. You get good pictures. You can see they have good, clean pictures here, along with other decor and how they're in use, how they're packaged. They did a good job with the packaging here, but a lot of room to iterate and make better. So price, obviously you're not going to have a ton of material, a ton of cost into these. These are really, really simple to make. And you could batch them out big time on your CNC. So material cost is going to be your highest cost, which is probably going to be a couple bucks a piece. Let's say you had, $3 plus the hardware, maybe $3 into them. And I think you can definitely sell them in a set. Don't sell them individually, because sell them in at least a set of 3. That's how our brain works. So I think a set of 3 or 4, I'm thinking set of 3, $30, maybe think about $10 a piece. And then as you go up, if you wanted to sell a set of 6 or something like that, you could, knock it down to $50. All right. Project number 4. This is going to be a little bit different. It's a scenario, but I'm doing this to show you how I think about this and how we need to think in order to come up with new product ideas that people want. That's the goal, right? So I am on Pinterest. I do a ton of research on Pinterest. There's tons of inspiration. If you're not using Pinterest to find inspiration, you're really, really missing out. This is something that Pinterest does, is they'll pick like a category. So like fall decor ideas for cozy season. And it says a drop in temperature means turning up the warm and cozy vibes. Welcome the season with these fall decor ideas. So what we can do is we don't need to look for individual projects or individual products. We can look at an entire decorated scene and then pick out a product within that scene. Like, hey, we can make that. What we're doing is we're helping someone accomplish that aesthetic rather than like just picking one product like we have been doing. It's kind of hard, because then you don't know where that's going to fit necessarily in aesthetic. So it might be hard to target certain people. It might be hard online to find keywords. It might be hard to title it. But here you're giving a lot. We already have a lot of it done for us. And I'm just going through and looking for things that catch my eye that I can make. You see a lot of candles. You see a lot of trays. You see a lot of pumpkins. I love the fall because of this, in making products for the fall. You see a lot of natural tones that play really, really well in natural wood. We make things out of wood. So it's it's a time where our products can really match up to the vibe and the look. So if you click on this one, you can see they got these cutting boards back here. Everybody can make cutting boards. Everybody can make a cutting board. And I've been told wrong many times, been proven wrong, that there's a lot of people that sell cutting boards. But please do not try to sell cutting boards online without something very unique. What is going to make you stand apart from literally the other 50 pages on Etsy of cutting boards? So you got to do something unique. Okay, I've actually sold a lot of these in the past. These pedestals right here are always popular. These pedestals they add a dimension that people really like to elevate things. So these little pedestals are really easy to make, but often overlooked. All right, so the thing that's sticking out to me a lot on these are trays, right? Decor trays, center trays, like they're staging everything. Here's a tray, here's a tray, here's a tray, here's a tray, here's a tray. So a lot of trays. So I think, okay, let's look at this, for example, and take this a little bit further. So this little saucer here with this texture, I think that's really, really neat to make out of wood and create that texture on a centerpiece tray. So let's use that as number 4. And how do we make this? Right? Well, first, we're going to make it out of, it's probably going to be a two-sided carve, because we want that, we don't want it just laying flat on the table. We want some bowl, a little bit of bowl action on the bottom along with the top. And that's going to really elevate, it's kind of going to give it that shape. So what we'll do is carve the bottom flat with a little bit of relief on it. And then we will flip it over and do the texture on the front. So I really like textures and adding textures to wood. And I think this would be really, really good. Now, I think the way that you do this is a 3D carve. And it's, even though it's one path, I don't think we can get the bit to start in the middle of the tray and work out, and the thickness of the line get larger towards the outside. Because if you see that, it's thinner towards the inside. So in my mind, correct me if I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments if you are a Vectric wizard and you know the toolpath to use to do that. But I think this is the texture you set up as like a 3D model, and you have to, I would actually skip a 3D roughing toolpath, and I would just go to a 3D finishing toolpath with a tight step over. I think that's the way you get this look. But I think this would be really, really cool. And then I think too, you paint this white. I think that really sets it off. You could use it out of a natural wood, but I really like the whites here. So with those 3D toolpaths, you're just going to use a 1/4 inch ball nose bit, and then you're going to need a 1/4 inch down cut bit to cut the outside out at the end once you're all done. But yeah, one bit I think you can get this detail with a 1/4 inch ball nose bit. You don't need to go any smaller. I think this piece would be an absolute showstopper at a high-end craft fair, craft market. The one that I go to in December is an affluent area. There's a lot of money, and this would sell all day long there, and it would stop people just because they own big houses, and they're looking for a unique centerpiece to put on their countertop and their dinner table. You can't buy anything like this that isn't mass produced, right? So the fact that it's unique, I think, in local, I think it would sell well. Price, you're going to have more into this one. You're going to have more time into it. You're going to have more machining time into it. You're going to have more design time into it. You're going to have more material cost into it. So obviously the price, we're targeting the upper 5% of the market when it comes to home decor. So I think you get aggressive with this and you sell it for $100 or you sell it for $120. I think something like this that's unique, because you're going to have material costs. You're probably going to have $10 into it at the minimum, and then time, you're going to have more time into this one. Just machining time. It isn't just a simple profile toolpath. So I think $100 minimum, depending on the size as well, maybe more. But like I said at the beginning, this was a little bit different. This was kind of how I explore, and how, like, Etsy is serving up these curated groups of looks, of aesthetics, and we can find something that we can match and be like, okay, who would buy this? Who's looking for this aesthetic? And serving them up a product from that aesthetic to help them accomplish it. All right, number 5 on our list are these turtle coasters. Now, everyone does coasters. Coasters are one of those things that's overdone. There's a lot of generic, especially laser engraved coasters out there. But one of the draws to coasters are their utilitarian product, where it has a specific use, where they use it every morning for their cup of coffee or on their end table. So it's part of something that we use on a regular basis. I thought this was a really cool idea, this is actually made 2 pieces. It's made out of walnut and it's made out of maple. And it's really, really simple to make. You could go a lot of different shapes. I'll get into that here in a second. But how you would make this one is just two pieces, 2 profile toolpaths to cut the outside shape. And then to get the inside turtle shape, going to use a ball nose bit at a depth of like 1/8 of an inch. Just enough to get that cool design, which you could do any design you wanted to. But I really like the turtle shell look here. Now, this one actually is in 2 separate pieces. and it's a magnet that connects together. You could do this a couple separate. You could do the magnet technique, or you could glue them together still and still make two. Let's say probably make them 3/8 of an inch thick. That would give you a 3/4 of an inch coaster. But maybe you can do a 1/4 inch each. You just have to play around with the dimensions. You don't want a really thick coaster, but it's totally doable here. So when I say this one is simple to make, it really is. Sanding those pieces, applying a polyurethane to them, and putting, it looks like they have a little bit of a round over on the edge, which is easy enough to do either with a CNC or a trim router afterwards. But you could set up a profile toolpath with a point roundover bit would make this look really good as well. So how and why would something like this sell? Well, I think it has a use, a built-in use. It's utilitarian, but it also someone that loves turtles or something that's looking for a unique gift for someone that likes turtles. But like I said earlier, you don't have to stop at turtles here. You could do a lot of different animal shapes, and you could build this out to 10, 20 different animal shapes where you make animal coasters, or you could run with that idea anywhere. But I really think for the animal lover, you think about, this is really a crossroads where someone loves maybe tea or coffee, and they love animals. And it's a really unique, cool idea. But you could also make this in different sizes. You could make smaller ones. You could make larger ones. Think about selling a set. You could make one for a coaster, but then you could make one for like a hot plate, one for a centerpiece decor. So you could sell a set of 3 turtles, using the turtle example here. You could sell of different sizes for different uses, but someone could have all of them together and they match maybe a kitchen table decor setup. So a lot of different options here. So something really important to the success in sales for an item like this. There are a million coasters listed on Etsy for sale. And it's really hard to make money selling coasters on Etsy. I don't recommend it. But I think you could sell this in your own shop online. I think you could sell this locally, craft markets, other boutiques, businesses, friends and family, things like that, Facebook. But selling this on Etsy, I don't think is a great, even this customized look. There's just so much competition. But I just want to make you aware, making something like this, throwing it up on Etsy and expecting it to do really, really well, there are better ways. Let me put it that way. On that note, let's talk about pricing. This particular coaster, I would price this at, $50 a set, $60 a set, $70 a set, somewhere in there. Material costs, you're going to have, let's say, $5 into material costs. You're going to be into this product for less than $10. And so the margin on here is significant. Even if it costs you a little bit more, even if that shrunk down where you had a little more into it, let's say wood costs a little bit more where you're at, and let's say you had $15 into it, I still think there is plenty of room. If you sold this for $40 or $50, there's still plenty of room for profit here, which is not true when it comes to basic coasters. By the time, when you're engraving coasters and whether you're buying blanks or making your own, engraving typical wood coasters you would see online, and you turn around and sell them for, $20 a set, you're not making any money. It's not even worth your time. So doing something more custom like this, that definitely ups the value because you're making it for a specific person. You're making it for someone that it's going to be an emotional decision that they're going to use this all the time, or it's going to be an emotional gift as far as I really want to get so-and-so this because I know they would love it. All right, so the first website we're going to go to is called Crate and Barrel. If you don't know what Crate and Barrel is, it's a decor brand, a high-end decor brand. And so one thing I like about going to retailers is that they are not going to waste time and money on things that don't sell. So they're going to be on top of trends. Some of these stores even set trends. And so we can really kind of dial in what is selling, what isn't selling. So let's search wooden because that is primarily what the material we're gonna be using on our CNC router and CNC lasers. So let's scroll down here, and we've got wooden spoons, olive wood trivet, a spreader, olive wood salt cellar. All right, so for number one, we're gonna pick something that's a little unique and a little different. Now, I understand that some of these items are going to be they're going to sell well for Crate and Barrel because they have built a brand name, and we may not have that brand name. But again, we're looking at specific characteristics, things that we can emulate and take from it and maybe make it out of a different material or something like that. So I think this is a unique item, something that a CNC router would do really well, where you couldn't make this traditional woodworking. You could, but it would take too long and be kind of difficult. So this right here is a spoon rest. And I like this right here because it's simple. We can make it out of a hardwood material. It's complex enough to where a CNC would do well. I would use a bowl and tray bit here, and then I would use a 1/4 inch downcut bit to cut it out. And I probably, if you look, there's a little bit of a round over on the bottom. I'd probably just do that on the router table. You could do that on like a double-sided carve with the CNC, but I found rather than flipping it over and setting up the tool paths and making sure everything lines up, unless you're doing this at like thousands of scale, it's easier just to do it on the router table with a round over bit. The idea I like the most about this is that it's a spoon rest, right? So this is going to be sitting on a countertop for a kitchen. You could engrave, whether CNC router or CNC laser, a really cool saying on the bottom here. One, it could be personalized. You could put something that just brings it up a notch that Crate and Barrel can't do. So that could be a really cool idea. I like that as a simple project targeted towards females or female gifts. Mother's Day gifts would work really well here. And personalization, has a flat bottom, still being able to see it, because you're not going to always have a spoon on it, right? So that is number one, a spoon rest, kitchen spoon rest. When you're looking on these websites, one thing that you'll see a lot is acacia wood. That's because acacia wood is a wood that is readily available where these are manufactured. So right here, this is an acacia wood. In my part of the U.S., I can't get acacia wood. It's more of an exotic. But like this olive wood salt cellar, I've made that exact one before out of cherry, and it looked very, very similar. At the end of the day, I believe that I could use woods that are common in my area and still get these results. So the next store I want to look at is West Elm. West Elm is another store that's a high-end store. Again, these stores aren't going to waste time on things that don't sell. We're going to search wooden again for all their products and see what comes up. Okay, so here is the next item that caught my eye. So this is number 2 on our list. That is I believe will be a good selling, and I actually know for a fact that this one is popular. Basically what it is it's 2 wooden chain links. They're a little bit bigger, and it looks really cool, but basically if you zoom in on it, it's not that difficult to make. You literally just an outside toolpath and an inside contour toolpath, cut to the depth. Again, on these, depending on how many I'm making, I might go to the router table again. But basically, go over to the table saw or the bandsaw, cut one of them in half, link them together, and glue one of them back together. This is a very unique item, and I've seen a lot of people selling these and have them for sale. And you can sell them for a lot of money. These are selling for, looks like they're on sale. A set of 2 of them is $120. Now, this is on West Elm. Do you think you can get $120 for them yourself? I don't think so. I know I couldn't, but they are selling them for $60 a piece all day long. And you're going to have, let's say $5 into materials for all of them. maybe $2.50 into each one. You could sell them for $20 a piece and make a pretty good profit, but you could sell them for more than that too. Each link, I'm saying. So maybe you sell them for $40. People pay money for crazy things. And honestly, one thing that I've learned is that I'm not my target customer when it comes to making decor items like this. Like, I'm not the one that's going to walk in there and buy and spend $120 on 2 rings of wood together. But someone is, otherwise they wouldn't have them for sale, and I wouldn't see them everywhere. So my point being is, just because I'm not buying them or I wouldn't spend the money on it doesn't mean someone else won't or someone else wouldn't. And so we can't just skip over it and forget about it, because this is a good opportunity. One more from West Elm's website that really caught my eye that I think has a lot of opportunity that not a lot of people take advantage of, myself included. I'm guilty of this. So this giraffe push toy, this kid's push toy, is totally done on a CNC. Now, some people might be like, well, I can't make those wheels, and because this has an axle going through it. But let me tell you, and I'm talking to myself as well, the opportunity here is great. This is a one-sided carve. You round over everything from the edges. You pre-drill on the CNC the holes for the axles. Now, I bet you're thinking, like, how are you going to make those balls, Andy? Like, I'm not. I'm going to buy them. And so I think it's fine to make 90% of an item and then have to buy some items to accompany it and to finish it out. You can see they have a couple wood inlays here. That's actually a wood inlay, just to add a little bit. And I think it does add some style to it. But wooden push toys are a big deal to a lot of people because they're natural and they want natural toys, for their kids to play with. I think this would be a fantastic selling item in the right place to the right people. And it would go over really well. Now, just be careful with kids' toys. Obviously, don't make anything small that can fit in their mouth. When you start making stuff for kids, it kind of opens up, a different realm of things. So you got to be careful of those types of things. But I think there's a lot of opportunity here that is untapped. All right, so the next website we're going to go to is Harp Design Co. Now, this might be a little weird. Hang with me here, because actually Harp closed their business January 1 of this year. But I made a lot of stuff for them, and that's why I can talk about it now, because they're out of business. Before, I had a non-compete, and so I couldn't share it. But they have a very good taste. So their Instagram following here, if you don't know who Harp Design Co. is, they are on HGTV Network. They got their start with Chip and Joanna Gaines and Fixer Upper, but now they have some of their own shows. And they didn't go out of business because they were bad at business. They said they closed the doors because they just have so many projects going on and they had to consolidate for their family's sake. So I respect that. But we can look at the items that they were selling and get very good inspiration from it. You can see they almost have 900,000 followers. They're a very prominent brand. All right, so they've got some holiday items here. This is a hickory serving tray. I really like that. Let's make that number 4 on our list. This hickory serving tray. They're making it out of hickory. This could be made out of walnut. Could be made out of maple. So a very cool design. This could be marketed at holiday markets, things like that. Kids leave. They got room to leave cookies for Santa, milk for Santa, and then I probably would put maybe a carrot in this lower one. I think that would look kind of cool to leave out for Santa. But I really like this design. It's a Santa hat, very unique design. This would be made with a bowl and tray bit. It's 3 pockets, and then it would be cut on the outside with I would use a 1/4-inch downcut bit. And one of the challenges with this one is it's a pretty tall and wide piece, so you'd have to glue a pretty big panel together. Probably you would need 12 inches high, maybe 16 inches by length. Usually doesn't matter because boards usually come in longer sides, but this would require some really wide boards or gluing several boards together to make some panels up. All right, so while we're on Harp here, I found number 5. Here's number 5 on Harp Design Co. Instagram page, because their website is no longer. Specifically looking at the acorn, the leaf, and the cracker tray. If you've been around my channel for a while, let me know if you noticed something. I've made one of these. I'm not going to tell you which one, but let me know down in the comments which one I made. And it's so crazy that one of my projects from my basement shop ended up in Harp Design Co. in this beautiful spread. But it's one of those 3 trays that I made. I know some of you will know for sure. But I want to draw attention to the seasonal trays. Again, I know we just did the Santa one, but look at the acorn. We're gonna stay on this kick because we can. So number 5, look at this acorn. You know, this acorn nut tray, like marketed at the right time of the year and getting it in front of the right people. This one's made out of walnut. Again, 2 tool paths, bowl and tray, and a outside profile cut with a downcut bit out of probably 3/4 inch material. It's a unique serving tray used for the holidays. Thanksgiving would be beautiful as a centerpiece. So I think that would be a very good selling product. So next, let's go to my personal favorite, which is Pinterest. But as I'm looking at it, I'm looking at these through a lens of, okay, where is the market for this? Just because an item's selling well in one place, whether that's in person or online or in Texas or in, Minnesota, like every market is different. It's very rare to have a product that's going to do well in every single one of those scenarios because there's just different people, different needs, different budgets. Right away, I found an item that I believe won't sell well. And I think that's just as important to show you as what I think will sell well. So here's a bonus for you. So here's my train of thought on this bathroom soak board, let's call it. It has a specific purpose. It makes someone feel something. Feel relaxed. Obviously, it's engraved. It's kind of personalized. It can be like your own thing. The reason I don't think this sells well, this is just my opinion, and the reason I wouldn't make this is because of who would I sell it to? Well, I would sell it to most people that take baths. This is geared towards a female. Okay, where would I sell it? Now, I'm set up at a market, and I have these setting there. So in that setting, in my experience, most people aren't looking to spend money on themselves. They're much more likely to spend money on someone else. Now, I think the person that would buy this is a dad for a mom. Whether it's for Mother's Day, whether it's for an anniversary or something like that. But in the setting of a market, there's not many dads, there's not many husbands walking around by themselves in that setting without their wives. And so I really wouldn't buy it in that setting. That's my train of thought. I think it would be a tough sell in most cases. Now, maybe it sells well online because it's a little more discreet. People, maybe they're willing to buy for themselves in that setting, like on Etsy. So maybe that I think this has a better chance to do better online than it does in person. That's my train of thought of what items, might not sell well. All right, the next one on our list. I think this one would actually, I think this is a great idea, and I think would sell well, and that is these word signs. People love to put this decor up in their house. These are all made out of MDF. One trick with MDF, if you are making them out of MDF, which is cheap, make them out of 3/4 inch MDF. That way they have a little more substantial to them. And then seal them with a primer first. Spray them with a primer, sand them down, sand that coat down, and then put a couple finishing coats on it, and you'll get very smooth results. So this, I think, is a great idea. One, it's not a big purchase for somebody, maybe $20, $30 on these, but you're going to have a couple dollars into MDF. I believe that's number 6 on our list, are these large words as home decor. Number 7 is this dog leash holder. Something that I think is often overlooked. A market that is often overlooked is pets. I just looked it up, and people spend an average of $740 a year on their dogs, according to Forbes. So this is a market that people are willing to pull money out of their pocket for. And I really love this design because, one, it's a decor piece. Two, it serves as a function, right? This wouldn't be nearly as appealing just without the hook on it. But the fact that they put the hook where the tail goes, it just looks cool, and it serves the purpose of holding your dog's leash. So I think this would be a very good selling product, and something to focus on is looking into making products for the dog market, because people love their pets. All right, number 8 is this electric guitar pick box. I think this is a really cool niche item. Obviously, people that love guitars would love something that that's shaped like an electric guitar. And I would actually just use one bit for this product. I would just use a downcut bit, and I would pocket it with the downcut bit. Probably make this out of cherry, or you could make it out of walnut. Let's hit go here, and you can actually see this is really cool. They engraved the front of it. This completely takes it up a notch. Like you know what it is when you look at it with just the shape of a guitar, but the fact that they engraved the electric body of the guitar and strings on it really takes it up a notch. All right, we're still on Pinterest here, and I ran into another one that I believe would sell really well, especially this time of year. And it's one I actually have files available for. Very similar files, maybe not exact. I think our files are actually a little bit better than this one. But this American flag catch-all tray is a really unique patriotic item. You can throw your keys in it, your change in it, your wallet in it, and again, you could just use a normal tray for that, right? Nothing carved in it, but somebody that's patriotic. So I think this is a really cool, and I know we sell a lot of these files, so I don't know if people are selling those products, which we do allow. If you're not allowed to sell the file, obviously, but you're allowed to make and sell these items. So I'll actually leave a link if you're interested in making this specific project or one very similar to this. I will leave a link in the description for you. So there's a few different tool paths in here. So the first one is a bowl and tray bit to clear out the pocket, and then next you're going to switch to a V bit, probably a 60 degree V groove bit, and you're going to do the flag details. And then you're going to switch to a 1/4 inch downcut bit and do the outer profile. So obviously, since it's on my website, I think this is a really neat project and would sell well. All right, number 10. This might be my favorite on the list, and that is personalized house number signs. The reason, I've talked about this in a video before, but the reason I love house number signs is because every single one of them is unique. You're making it for a specific person. So this one's really cool with this duck. And I believe that it's probably not wood. It's probably HDPE or something like that. It'd be really interesting to see exactly what they're making this out of. But you can make it out of wood and paint it just as well. But they took it up a notch. They put a texture on it, texturing toolpath, and put a duck on it. And I love that each one of these is unique, like I said, and you can customize them. And they're relatively low cost, but since each one is really specialized, you can get a lot of money for this. So maybe you could sell each one of these depending on the design. But this one, for example, I think I would sell it for probably $150. Just off the top of my head. I think that's entirely reasonable for something that is very specific. You're only going to design once. Another thing that you can do to speed up the design process is you could make templates. I know you can do this in VCarve, but you do the outer shape, and so the only thing that you're replacing is the name and the address, and then everyone probably doesn't want a duck on theirs, so you could change that out as well. But that would give you a heads up, and you could do different shapes, but maybe you had 10 different shapes, and if you really wanted to scale this, you could do that pretty easily with using templates and save a lot of time. Most of the time, my inspiration comes from the internet. And today I am on Pinterest, and I found these tea light holders, these Christmas decoration tea light holders. And I thought these were really, really cool. In particular, they would be really well for scrap wood projects. You know, all those cutoffs that we struggle with. Should we throw them away or should we keep them? Well, here is a cool project for that. So we're gonna make them out of scrap hardwood. So something that can be tricky is these cutoffs, our scrap wood, can be different shapes. But we can actually maximize our material usage by nesting these T-light shapes, these different shapes, into the basically dimensions of our scrap wood. Of course, these can be made out of any shape. I really like the snowflake, the star, Christmas tree, reindeer, Santa Claus, different snowflakes. I think a really cool idea would be snowman. Snowman, you could fit 3 T-lights in it. So a lot of different options here and really simple to make. The bits to do this is just be a downcut bit or an upcut bit, something to cut a profile toolpath, the general shape, and to pocket the diameter of where the T-light would sit. Something to take this up a notch, because I love these ideas, but I always try to elevate them. How can we elevate this? And I think an easy way to elevate this is to chamfer the outside edge. Rather than just having a 90-degree edge where the profile toolpath will cut out, we can take a V-bit, a 60-degree V-bit, and put just a 1/8 chamfer on all these edges, and I think this really would take these to the next level. As far as pricing goes, I think we sell these in sets. They're so small, and who's gonna wanna just buy one of them? You could sell them individually, but I think a better idea is to sell them for three for $20 or something along those lines. But a set of 3, I think, is a really good move here. All right, so number 2 is this mahogany Christmas tree tray. So I had to dig this out of the storage for our craft shows because we sell these. And this one is made out of, actually it's called Cuban mahogany. There's tons of mahogany out there, but this is actually saved wood from a hurricane in the Florida Keys. True story. Bought the wood from them and I used it to make Christmas tree trays. Kind of interesting, but cool story, right? Like I said, this one is made out of mahogany, but you can make it out of any hardwood. I prefer a dark hardwood just because it elevates it. Light colors like maple or something like that, or oak, it works, but it kind of looks cheaper than something dark, rich. And this one is kind of dry, actually. It needs another coat of finish on it before we take it to the next show, but I really like the dark look. So walnut, mahogany, something along those lines. So this is made with 2 bits, a bowl and tray bit to pocket out the pockets, and then a profile toolpath to cut out the outside. So downcut bit, upcut bit, compression bit, something along those lines, but a 1/4-inch bit. This one is actually almost 2 inches thick. So I'm not able to cut through the whole profile. So I cut down as far as I could, pushed it to like 1 1/4 inches. And so then I had 3/4 of an inch, took it over to the bandsaw, cut out the rest of it through that 3/4 of an inch, and then took it to the router table and did a flush trim bit on it. So that's how I'm cutting that full depth. There are some extra long tools out there that I know you can buy. I don't have any experience with them. If you've got any experience using an extra long reach tool to cut a deeper profile than typical, let me know your experience. Let me know down in the comments. I've never used one myself, but I think that could save a lot of time on this. So we sell these for $75 a piece locally. And true story, the last time we had these at an event, we had a lady walk up to us, 15 minutes. The event had just started, 15 minutes. We had 3 of these ready to go to sell that day. And she walked up and she asked for 4 of them. And we're like, well, we only have 3. And she's like, okay, give me all 3. And we're like, wow, that was crazy. Now, we sold out, like I said, 15 minutes to the event started. I don't know how many we would have sold that day or if that was a one-off thing, but we have sold many of these for $75 a piece. Again, made out of mahogany. All right, for number 3, we're gonna head to ANDYBIRDbuilds.com. Got a really cool project in here that I actually uploaded last year. The files are available. You can make this, you can sell this, but the Santa tray CNC project. So this project is similar to the Christmas tree, but where this is like a candy tray or, centerpiece, this is designed as like a milk and cookie tray for Santa. And it also introduces V carving to get the profile of Santa's face, but it has a place for milk, has a place for cookies. And so, like I said, these files are available on my website, SVG, DXF, Cut2D, which is Carbide Create. Toolpaths are already set up for you. CRV file, which is Vectric software. Toolpaths are already set up for you. But we also offer the JPEG and PNG. So again, I picture this one being made out of a hardwood. So I think this would look really good. You can make this out of pine, but if you want to make like an heirloom piece, I'd make this out of a hardwood. It would look really good in mahogany. 3 toolpaths. You have a pocketing toolpath for Santa's face here. And then you have a V-carving toolpath for all the details. Use a 60-degree V-carving bit. And then you have a profile toolpath on the outside where you're going to use your 1/4-inch tool, cutout tool, downcut, or something similar to that. So it looks complicated, but if you have Vectric or Carbide Create, these things are already set up for you. And really easy to do. Like I said, I don't care if you make this and sell this, make this and give it away as a gift, whatever you want to do. But as far as pricing goes, I would price this at the, depending what I made it out of, right? Materials are very important. Let's just say we made it out of maple, because we haven't made anything out of maple yet. All right, we'll make it out of maple, and I think we sell this for, I really would like to get this to a $50 price point. Because if you sold this for $50, I think you could sell a lot of them. But with material costs, I don't think there's enough there. So this is probably a $75 heirloom piece. You could make it, like I said, out of a cheaper material, sell it for a cheaper price. But I really feel like this is very similar to this, similar in size, similar in function. I think it's a $75 piece. All right, for number 4, we're heading back to Etsy. Christmas ornaments are a massive market. People love ornaments because, one, they're really small and they're easy to justify the purchase. People are always looking to add to their Christmas tree every year. But specifically, the reason I like this one is because it's the baby's first Christmas ornament. And although this one's laser cut and laser engraved, you could totally do this with an eighth-inch downcut bit on your CNC machine. But I like the 2 layers. It adds some dimension here, but this is really simple, and the materials are super cheap to make these as well. But the reason why I really, really like this one is because there are so many options. There's so many Christmas ornaments being made out there. But as soon as you personalize something, you're basically making it one of a kind. So putting people's names on them, putting dates on them, making them first. Think of first. Ornaments that celebrate first are really, really meaningful for people, and they don't even think twice about a $10 or $15 ornament. When you, baby's first Christmas, newlyweds first Christmas as grandparents, first Christmas in your new house. These are all events that you want to remember, and they make you feel good when you look at them, when you look at that ornament and remember those times. So a CNC technical note, it's really important to cut thin material, this 1/8-inch material with a 1/8-inch downcut bit, because there's not a lot of weight holding anything down, even if you're using work holding. If you're using an upcut bit, that stuff's going to want to pull up really, really easily. Ask me how I know. And it is just a mess. So make sure you use an 1/8-inch downcut bit to cut thin materials. All right, number 5 is taking us to Crate and Barrel. If you've never heard of it before, Crate and Barrel is a high-end store, high-end decor store. Let's call it that. And they always have a lot of great ideas. And I love taking ideas from these large retailers because they put a lot of time and effort into coming up with these. And when they have millions, if not billions of dollars on the line, their products are very curated, is the word I'm looking for. This one caught my eye. They call this the Warm Acacia Tannenbaum Christmas Ornament Tree. And I thought this was really cool because there's tons of options here. You can make any shape branch that you want. They have this kind of like this mustache look, which you could totally draw that in your CAD software and just replicate it, make it smaller, make it bigger. You can make the branches smaller or bigger, but you can also make the tree smaller to set, let's say, on a countertop, or you can make a tree that is designed to set in your living room that's 3 or 4 feet tall. You can scale this up infinitely and scale this down infinitely. I guess maybe your CNC is going to be the limiting factor maybe. But so I really, really like this idea. This looks really clean and really sophisticated. So I went back and forth here of what I would make this out of. I think I would make this out of pine, and I think I would stain it. I know they're making theirs out of acacia wood. If you don't know, everything at these large retailers is made out of acacia wood in other countries. I think this one's made in India. But you could go with a walnut. A walnut would replicate that acacia wood. The average person wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But cost, right? I think you can get the same look, the same vibe with stained pine. If not, you can always go to a hardwood, right? This would look good in any hardwood. But for this example, let's say we go with a stained pine look, right? There's a little work outside of the CNC. You're gonna have to drill the top holes through where they slide up and down the metal pole through the top of the branches. So that's easily done with a drill. Ideally, a drill press would work the best, but you could do it with a drill as well. This is a 1-bit project. You're just cutting profile toolpaths. The other thing is you're gonna have to source the pole, but that can be done easily at your local home center, and then you're gonna need some spacers in between each one. So the way I look at it, or the way I thought about it is you have your base, and you have your pole running up. You put a spacer on, paint them all black first. You put your spacer on, then you put a branch on. You put a spacer on, you put a branch on. You put a spacer on, you put a branch on. And that way it gives it that space look. And then since they have the hole drilled in the middle of them, they can spin any which way, so you can orient it anyway. And then you can hang your ornaments that you created from number 4 on the tree. So this can be decorated in a lot of different ways too, like these pictures, like people have done. So here is a savvy note for you. If you're wondering, like there's so many questions like, what do I make this out of? Well, I've covered that. How big do I make it? Well, I've covered that. But also, if you're wondering what size this one is, it says right here. Tree, 17 and a quarter high by 11 inches wide by 7 inches deep. That gives you your dimensions to start off with for scaling. So you can scale this down or you could scale this up. Reading these different ideas in here gives you it gives you such a head start from just starting with a blank page. But look at what some of these people, how they're using this. Centerpiece, smaller one. There's a bigger one that's decorated. Cat's playing with it. Look at that. They literally have all the sizes right there. So that's really, really cool. Now, what about price? So Crate & Barrel, who has a brand, is selling the 17-inch for $80, the 25-inch for $100. Again, every time I've done these videos, I am a firm believer in we're not competing. Like, you are not competing with Crate & Barrel. You're not going to be able to compete with them, nor should we try, nor should we necessarily try to sell these online. We can take this idea as inspiration, make it our own, whether it's a different shaped branch, or whether it's a different material, or whether it's a different size, or whether it's all three, and we can sell this to our local customer base. We can sell this through Facebook. We can sell this just word of mouth locally, and we're not competing with them. So that's why personally, I like to make this out of pine. And if I'm selling the centerpiece one, stained pine for $50, and I'm selling the bigger one for the 20-inch one for $100, or if I'm selling a 3 or 4 foot one for $300, like, I can do that locally. Don't feel like you need to go here and copy exactly what you're doing, because you're not playing the same game as any retailer online. You're not. So play your local game and you can still be successful. So first, let's do a little trend research. I'm going to do this by opening an incognito tab in my web browser. What that's going to do is it's going to allow us to search anonymously. We don't want to influence these search results. We just kind of want to see what's popular, and that's how we're going to do that. So open the incognito tab, and we're going to Google 2023 fall decor trends and see what comes up. So right away you see Southern Living, and a lot of these magazines and a lot of these brands, they set the trends. So you can see they've got a bolted list here. One that sticks out to me is natural materials. That's good news for us woodworkers because natural materials is trending. Makes sense. If we go down a little bit further, we can see Better Homes and Gardens. There's another very popular magazine and website where they curate these trends. I really like the fall, like selling in the fall, because a lot of wood, a lot of distressed looks, but also a lot of modern looks, but it's a very natural color palette that lends itself well to woodworking. So that is just Google. That's just the front page of Google. The other one that we can go and look at is Instagram. Instagram, basically what we're doing is looking at curated lists of what's popular. So let's jump over to Instagram real quick, search Fall Decor Trends 2023. I see a lot of different projects in here. So let's start curating our list here and see where we end up. Again, I'm just scouring the internet. Like you would, or you can do the same thing for any trend or anything you're interested in, and see what I find. So let's jump into project number 1. So project number 1, I'm calling this serving board that is used as a table runner. So it's really long and skinny, but you can see that it's made out of a darker wood, and really they have a table runner underneath it, but they're using this as not really a serving board or anything like that, but as a table runner to put other decor on. Now I know that this is a perfect project for the CNC. Really easy file to come up with, pretty easy shape, and honestly, it's a really easy project, just kind of used in a different way. I think so many times we get stuck on thinking, you know, like tunnel vision, like I gotta make a cutting board and I gotta sell it for people to cut on, or I gotta make a charcuterie board and people have to put food on it. This person is using it as basically a wooden table runner, and it looks fantastic. All right, number 2 is the chunky candle coaster. Say that 10 times fast. Basically, it's right here. What they've got this candle sitting on, I thought it was a really unique kind of a dish. It's chunky, it looks different. They've got a little bit of a whitewash on it, or maybe it's made out of like a distressed maple. So obviously this could be used for a lot of different things, not just candles. It could be used as a little small change dish. It could be used in other pieces of setting decor on. You know, think about it like a mason jar, setting it on there. So a lot of uses, but it fits the aesthetic. It fits the natural tones aesthetic. I also want to point out is they're also using a cutting board, a serving board, looks like a distressed, you know, board, as the base for their decor. Just like in project number 1, they were doing the same thing. So I think that's a cool way, maybe an alternative way to look at marketing our charcuterie boards, our cutting boards, things like that. Like, hey, this is kind of a table runner, or this is like a setting where you can build your decor up. And I'll talk about a few ways we can do that at the end of this list. I've got 4 questions, like I said, that you need to answer in order to be able to sell these ideas. Number 3 is another piece of table decor, and it is this serving tray down here. Now, obviously with fall, decor is huge. So most of these projects are gonna be decor related. People love to decorate for fall. But this one's a different color tone. This kind of setup, this fall aesthetic, let's call it, is a little bit darker, but they're using it to stage and decorate. And we could crank these out on the CNC. It looks like this is a 12-inch round, and you could use a bowl and tray bit, and you're literally going down a 1/4 of an inch. That's not a 1/2 an inch, but you're just putting that little radius on the inside. And this one is painted. So I think this is another angle that we could approach our serving trays with. I think as woodworkers, we would never paint like a piece of maple or a piece of hardwood. And I agree. So something like this you could make out of pine because you're gonna paint it. So I don't see a lot of, out there in the CNC community, I don't see a lot of people painting like decor pieces or painting something that should be natural wood, right? And I think a natural wood works here as well, but you know, painting something like this might set you apart. All right, so number 4 is these wooden word blocks. That's what I'm calling them, but basically they're just small blocks of wood. These have a whitewash on them, and they have fall words on them. What I like about this one is it's not just one solid piece. It doesn't say hello autumn. It says hello, and then it says autumn. It'd be cool to maybe build out, 5 or 10 sayings where people could mix and match, and be able to make their own sayings based on the words that you picked. Hello fall is popular. Pumpkin spice is popular. So you could make a pumpkin and then make a spice, and it could say hello pumpkin spice, or it could say autumn pumpkin spice. You get the idea. People could pick and choose. These are really, really cheap. I'd make these at a Pine, whitewash a whole 2x6, and 2x6 by a 2-foot section. You could probably get 8 of these out of it, maybe 10, and then V-carve all the letters. So the order I would do this, first I would whitewash the 2x8, then I would V-carve the words on there, and then I would put a clear coat on top of the whole 2x8, and that's to seal the grain where you're gonna paint the black letters. And so that way they won't bleed at all. But this is a really cheap product, and I think you could sell these like hotcakes. All right, so this next one is number 5 and number 6. So we'll do number 5 first, which is these fun seasonal, fun fall signs. So these really stood out to me, caught my attention first. It says the roads. So that is the personalization, which if you can personalize any of these, they're gonna sell even better, and you can sell them for more, right? Personalization makes things one of a kind. But it says the roads. It says dead and breakfast, where you're sure to rest in peace. I just thought that was fun. Play on bed and breakfast. So that's really creative. And then this one over here, it says it's October, witches, which obviously they have a witch on, but you get where that's going. So just fun things that make people smile, things that make people laugh, signs. I think those always go over well. Signs sell, really creative signs sell really well. All right, so number 6, not going anywhere, staying with this picture. I really like this setup here. Number 6 are these pumpkin cutouts. You see these down here on this ladder? Those are really cool and something the CNC could just crush. So I like how vividly these are painted. This vivid orange really pops, and you can do different pumpkin cutouts. They're a little chunkier, a little thicker, but that works really, really well there. So pumpkin cutouts are number 6. All right, so I think this is my favorite idea on this entire list. There's a lot of great ones, but this is my favorite idea. So number 7, I don't even know what to call this. Let's just call this a glass pumpkin decor. But hear me out here. So you look at this wooden base. This wooden base is nothing special. Literally, it's just a round with some roundovers on the edges and then a bowl and tray bit to create a channel here where this glass sits on. And I just think this is really creative, and brings up another great point with we get so focused with CNC, like everything, we have to make everything. And that's just not true. You could source this glass vase outside get it from someone else. You can buy them. So I think it's really cool and opens up a ton of possibilities when you create just a part of a project, and then you buy something else and it makes it into something that you could never do completely on your own. So what I see is you make this base, you source this glass, and these are just really colorful, like different pumpkins and gourds inside. But how cool and unique is that piece of decor? There's not many people out there that's going to do it. And I think it's just a really unique thing where we can take our skills, take someone else's skills, combine them together to make something really unique. So that is number 7. Number 8 on this list is a wooden bread bowl. These are really, really cool and have been popular for a few years now. Because there can be so many things done with them. I've seen people pour wax candles in them and make candles out of them. Here, they're using these as a centerpiece. This is a pretty advanced project because it involves some two-sided carving and some texturing, but you could totally do this. And then the thing that I love about CNC, and I'm sure you do too, is once you get the file set up once and get it dialed in, make some tweaks, it's set. You can use it 5 years from now. So this would take some work up front, but not a ton of material cost. And these things sell really expensively, like really expensive. I'm sure that one in the middle is probably $45. And I'm estimating, just off the top of my head, material costs can be less than $5. Now, you're going to have that labor up front with setting up the file and everything, like I said, but that will pay off as you make more of these years and years down the road. So I just think those are really cool. I know they sell really well, and there's a big profit margin there. Number 9 on this list is another tray that's being used as kind of like a serving / decor tray. But I thought this detail really caught my eye, and I think it fits perfectly with fall. So you can see the wood is running this way. This is just a round. So it's this wooden tray at the bottom here. And what I really like is these wooden, let's just call them inlays. Obviously, this is something that's been mass produced. You can see the gaps and stuff there. But honestly, that's the look. Some people like that. They don't like perfect. So that's another great point when you're thinking about these things is like maybe leaving some imperfections. I know a lot of people don't like to do that, but if it's what the customer wants, if that's who you're marketing to, then it might be a turnoff if it's made out of expensive, perfect wood. Not everybody likes that. So you can see how this sticks out across the edge or beyond the edge a little bit. But I really like these inlays running across. So what you can do is you can create a round, right? Serving tray like you normally would, and have the grain running vertically. And then what you do is you come back and do these inlays horizontally, and it just adds a pretty cool touch to it. That caught my eye. Okay, that leads us to number 10. Last but not least are these chunky pumpkin cutouts. Now, these are on this list for a specific reason, and that is because of simplicity. I know we already had some pumpkin cutouts, but those were more intricate and painted. These are just natural wood, just outlines. And I think we don't stop at just pumpkins. You do pumpkins, you could do bats, you could do candy corn. You get the idea. You have the fall season, you have Halloween, you have Thanksgiving. So anything around those holidays or seasons are going to work really well. 1, these are really easy to batch out. 2, they're a smaller item. Put $10 a piece on these, depending on the market. I'm just throwing out a number there. Your market may be different, but maybe you have $2 into each one of these. Sell them for $10, $12, and someone buys 3. It's something that people buy 3 of. So this idea has a ton of potential, really to fill in amongst your bigger items as well. All right, so there's our list of 10. Now, getting ideas and inspiration is great. Remixing them, making them your own, like that's fantastic. But at the end of the day, if you're making things to make money, you have to sell these items and you have to sell these ideas. So the linchpin in success to make money with these items is being able to market them to the right people. But getting your product in front of those people is just the first step. In order to successfully market them, you need to help your customer present your products in a way where they can easily consume them, where they can envision your products in their space. So don't fall into the trap of thinking that your products will sell themselves just because you got them in front of an audience. That is a very common mistake that I see people make all the time. It's like, okay, I made this item. I'm very proud of it. I've got it in front of people, but why aren't people buying it? And the honest, brutal truth is because the people don't care about you. Like, you care about your product, but they don't care about your product because you care about it. So you have to market it in a way where you get them to care. So at the core of it, people are selfish. They want to know what your product is going to do for them and how is it going to make them feel. And so it's our job as business owners, if you want to make money, to present and package our products in a way where our customers can easily consume them. So here are some questions to ask yourself to help with this. So number one, where is my audience? Number two is, how do I get my product in front of them? Number three is, how can I present my product in a way where that audience will be able to easily consume it? Number four, do I know anybody that can help me accomplish the first three? Do I know anybody that has access to the audience I'm trying to reach? Do I know anybody that would be willing to help me share it with those people? And would they be willing to do it for some free product? Now, you can make things. So we all think like, I got to make and sell, make and sell. But what if you could make and give away some products to have access to the audience that you're trying to get in front of? So if you found this video helpful, hit that thumbs up button so I know that you found it helpful. And if you haven't subscribed, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you're notified instantly when I upload new videos. If you want to learn more about my CNC business, check out this video right here, and I will see you over in that video.